was a bone-chilling December night. The parking lot was nearly deserted, the cold wind whispering through the cracks of the empty pavement. Nick stood alone, scraping the ice off his windshield, each scrape echoing into the darkness. His breath formed misty clouds in the dim glow of the streetlights. The silence was suffocating. He was the last to leave. His co-workers had long since gone, leaving him alone with the night. Regret gnawed at him. The roads were slick, the air heavy with frost, but he had stayed late. Too late. As he reached for his seatbelt, a sudden wave of unease washed over him, a prickle at the back of his neck, the unmistakable sensation of being watched. He turned sharply. Nothing but shadows. Shrugging it off, he fumbled with the radio dial, static crackling through the speakers. Then, through the distortion, a sound. A low, unnatural hum. Voices, faint and distant. He leaned closer, straining to hear, when the world around him bathed in an eerie green light. Nick froze. The sound was not coming from the radio anymore. It was outside. He hesitated before pushing the door open, stepping into the unnatural glow. His breath hitched. Above him, something loomed. A massive circular craft, pulsating with green and yellow light. It hovered in absolute silence, except for the hum, which had become a living thing, vibrating through his bones. Panic surged through him. He bolted back toward his car, his fingers scrabbling at the handle. Locked. He fumbled with his keys, hands trembling. The hum deepened, resonating in his skull. And then, as suddenly as it appeared, the craft shot into the sky, gone in a blink. Heart hammering, he slid into his car, locking the doors. He gripped the wheel like a lifeline, his knuckles white. He needed to get home. Now the drive was silent. No music, no distractions, just the darkness pressing in. But the feeling returned, that dreadful awareness of unseen eyes upon him. A pale green light reflected in his rearview mirror. It was back. Terror ignited his veins. He slammed his foot on the gas, gripping the wheel as he sped toward home. But the thing followed, hovering just out of reach, an unrelenting presence. As he pulled into his driveway, realization struck him like ice in his veins. He had led it straight to his house. He sat motionless, debating whether to flee again. But before he could decide, the craft streaked upward and vanished. Silence swallowed the night. Stumbling into his house, he slammed the door shut, locking it behind him. His breath came in ragged gasps, his hands clammy. Maybe he was losing it. Maybe it was exhaustion playing cruel tricks. But the memory of the hum, the glow, the sheer presence of it, he couldn't explain it away. Collapsing onto his bed, he willed sleep to take him, but then scratch. A faint, deliberate scratching at his window. His blood ran cold. Eyes wide, he turned toward the sound. A shadow moved outside. Something scurried away. Not again. Summoning what little courage remained, he crept to the window. At first, nothing. But then, a figure, peeking from behind a tree. Gray skin, a bulbous head, hollow, black eyes that swallowed the light. Long, gnarled fingers gripping the bark. His stomach twisted. The creature saw him, and it ran. A crash outside. His car alarm blared. Nick staggered toward the front door, hesitating before peering through the glass. His trash can lay toppled, the only sign of disturbance. Just as he reached for the doorknob, a voice shattered the silence. "Hey, Nick!" He nearly collapsed in relief. Adam, his neighbor, stood with his dog, the animal growling lowly, its eyes locked on the woods. "Someone was lurking around your yard. My dog scared them off. Called the cops. They should be here soon." Nick swallowed. "Did you see them?" "Not really," Adam admitted. "Short. Maybe a kid messing around?" Nick nodded, knowing full well that was no kid. The police arrived, scanning the area. One officer listened patiently as Nick stammered through the night's events, expecting disbelief. But instead, the officer's face remained impassive. "You're not the first one," he said. "We've had reports." No further details, no explanations, just a nod and a warning to call if anything else happened. Nothing ever did. But that night remained etched into Nick's soul. The watcher in the dark had come for him once, and he feared, one day, it would return.